Howdy folks, this is Justro at Metcalf Mills bringing you Fun Fact Friday, because this day and time facts are hard to come by. I got another good one for you today. We're going to go back up in the woods, check on some trees. Sun shines out, the leaves are nice and green. I can show you what kind of tree I'm talking about. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to go ahead and forewarn y'all. There's a lot of heavy breathing in this video. Since I got sick back in the winter, my breathing's been heavy. I think it's getting better, and I can't always remember to, or I don't always remember to hold this microphone far enough away from me that you don't have to listen to it. So, if you don't want to watch a video for all that heavy breathing, I understand. Folks, we're up here in the woods, one of my favorite places. It's absolutely beautiful. It's cool in here because it's shady. I mean, you can see the sun breaking through the trees in little spots. It is just plumb beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. I love coming up here and sharing it with you. Looking at trees, different things. You can see over here where the sunshine is breaking through the canopy. It'll make a little light spot. See there? How pretty. But it's just nice and cool right here. It'll usually be at least 10 degrees cooler in the woods like this than it is out in the yard at the house or something. It's just so much cooler, especially if you get back in a holler where it's real shady and dark, and especially if it's damp. It's cool. I mean, it's probably 15 degrees cooler right here than it is down there in the yard at the house. On today's Fun Fact Friday, I want to talk about the locust tree. Very important tree. It's very interesting. Like some of our other wonderful trees, I don't know if it's going to be around much longer. They're getting gone. A blight or a bug or something hit them several years back, and there's a lot of them has died out. And we'll go check some out. We'll find us some to look at, and I'll talk about them a little bit. Let's get to it. Right here's two locusts. One's way bigger than the other one. Folks, this is an old locust tree. It's what you'd call the old-timey yaller locust. And locust trees, they're a lot like poplars. Like last week when we talked about poplars, you know, a young poplar is considered a white poplar, and when they get older, they're considered yaller. Well, locust is about the same way. When they get old, they turn into a yaller locust. When they get so old, I don't know how old that is, but they get yaller, and just like the poplar, the younger locust is not good. It's not near as good as the old growth yaller locust is. And this wood here in the mountains has been used for years and years, like on the Wiley barn. If you go back and watch that video, it's the first barn video that I really done an in-depth look at a barn. You look at that and you can see them big locust posts on the outside part of that barn that have been there for way over 100 years, and they're still standing strong. This locust was just the best to hold up and last, and it was used for a lot of different things. Before the chestnut blight in the teens and 20s, when they brought the blight from Asia here and it killed all the American chestnut trees, chestnut was split out and used to make rails for fences, and I think posts as well. But then after that died out, they still had locusts to use for all their rail fences and posts and fence stakes, fence posts. They used locusts for all that. And my grandpa split enough locust fence stakes to fence a whole farm back in the 50s and 60s. And he'd sharpen the end of them with a chainsaw, and he had a big old hammer, and they'd drive them down in the ground. And they still, a few of them original locust stakes with a barbed wire still nailed on them. Different spots you can find them where I've not built new fence. And when you're fencing with locusts, I don't know about any other wood because I've never used anything else. When you put a locust fence post in the ground, and it's a split post, you don't want to really use a round post unless you cut off and get to the heartwood, get to that yellow heartwood, because that outside is not going to last and hold up. So when you split out a fence post, if it's a small locust, you might split it in 4 stakes, quarter it up. But if it's a bigger one, you split it in 8s. And there's a few locusts that are even bigger than that, and you can get a bunch of stakes out of one cutting off of it. But anyway, when you split that out and you build your fence, you always want to face the heartwood towards your fence line. Because when you nail into that, you don't want to nail into that outside sapwood, because that's going to be the first thing to rot. You want to be nailing into that heartwood on that stake or post. So that's why a round post ain't too good for nailing into unless you take an axe and chop into where you can get into that heartwood with your fence steeple. But this one, you see these mushrooms here. That right there tells you that this tree is doty. It's got some dotiness to it. And what that is, it's got kind of soft. I don't know what causes it on some of the locusts standing. If they just stand too long or a disease got in them or what. But they get doty on the inside. And what'll happen when you cut it open most of the time, the very center heart will be kind of soft and kind of rotten. It's real soft. I don't know what causes it to do that, but them shelf mushrooms there, they're telling you that that tree is doty inside. And it wouldn't be real desirable for fence stakes to split out or a post for a building. But it is good for firewood, heater wood. Old people, my grandpa and grandma loved it for stove wood, but it will burn a cook stove up. I mean, it'll burn the grates out. It burns so hot. A lot of people didn't want to use it in a cook stove. But you can take a stick of that stuff and you can put it in your heater, and that'll heat better than any other wood I've ever used. And the good thing about it is, when you burn locusts pretty much all the time, you don't hardly ever have to take any ashes out. It all just burns up. It don't leave any ashes hardly. And that's another benefit of locust wood. But this is a big old locust. One of these days I'll cut it for wood to heat with. And it looks like down here at the bottom I see some flaky stuff on the ground. And right over here I see, looks like a bear's been scratching on it, or a wildcat. It's pretty low, so that's probably a wildcat scratching on this locust. Most of the time, bears will reach up high and get a claw on it. Big old locust tree. Another characteristics of locusts is they're usually pretty, not necessarily straight. Some of them is, but not straight, but just one center part of them. And they get up towards the top and they'll start, maybe have a few branches coming out, but not a lot. And this particular one right here has got a big fork up there where it forks. And you can see there's very few limbs coming off of this tree. Right here's where something been clawing on this tree. Pretty sure it was a wildcat because it's down real low. So this must be a wildcat scratching post right here. Stand right here and reach up there and sharpen his claws on there. See how he's fuzzed it up? Right up here is this other locust. This is a yellow locust too. You can see by that thick bark. Them little field locusts, or black locusts as they call them, they won't have that thick bark like that. It's doty too. It's got the mushrooms on it. I want you to look at this mushroom right here. So some kind of an old wild grapevine growing up through here, and look at there. It goes right through the mushroom. Mushroom must have growed around it. And the thing about locust is, it's like a few of the other woods, like chestnut. It's got it's got like an acid in it. I don't know if acid is the right word or not, but you'll at least know what I'm talking about. It's got that acid in there, that gum stuff. And you can, when you cut it, you can tell that wood it looks oily. It looks kind of shiny. And what that is, the gum or the acid in this, the sap maybe, it's got acid in it. That keeps the bacteria from growing to keep it from rotting. That's why locust lasts so long. The wood is infused with that acid, and it stops bacteria from growing. And if bacteria can't grow, the wood can't rot. So it makes me think on some of these mushrooms right here like we looked at. Something has happened with this tree that it didn't get the acid like it was normally gonna carry, and it allowed it to get doty in the center. I don't know, but it makes me think that because if it was like all the rest of the locust you cut that's not doty, had all that in there to keep it from rotting, and they would never get doty. So I don't know what the deal is that causes them to get soft and rotten in the center, but that's what it is. It carries some kind of acid in the sap, and no bacteria can grow to cause it to rot. That's a fact on Fun Fact Friday, folks. Right here's an old locust snag, and it looks like a den tree. Something probably lives in there or has lived in there. And I wanted to show you this locust bark so you'll have an idea of how thick this stuff is. Look how thick that bark is. Probably at least 1.5 inches right there at the thickest part. Big old bark, thick, light. But that's the old yaller locust. I'm going to show you something else right here. This is a small one, and it's on the side. You see this mushroom right here? If you see that growing on a locust tree, it means the locust tree is doty, which means it's soft inside, or else this mushroom wouldn't be growing on it. So if you see them, you know it's doty. Now over there's a big old locust. Right there's a big old locust. And something else about locusts in the mountains, you'll see locusts where they've died over the years. They got some kind of a blight or a bug on them. The leaves had turned brown a few years, well, several years back, and a lot of them died out. But you can see just looking through the woods, all these trees that are laying down. See all them laying down? Right back here where we're at. Up through there's a bunch. All them trees laying on the ground, that's locust. Because it won't rot, and when it falls, it just lays there. So there's bunches of them just laying in the mountains, and we cut them for wood. These dead ones like this, they make the best heating wood that you can burn. They're just really good wood. Run up on this little bee nest right here. I went down there and looked to see if anybody was home, and sure enough they are. It's white-faced hornets. Got them a little tiny nest there. Looks like it'd be bigger, but they're up here in the woods where it's pretty. They can build their nest whatever size they want it, can't they? Yeah. That pretty sunshine coming through the trees over there. Man, it's just beautiful. We're gonna take us a little walk and go see if we can't find some of them old fence stakes that my grandpa split so many years ago. Go up here on this ridge. A lot of them laurels on this side of the mountain. I love them, they're pretty. I think they're not good for goats. Well, there's a little yellow pine up here. Walk over here on the ridge and see if we can't find some of them old fence stakes. There's a game trail. See it there where they travel? Comes right through here. Right over through there. May be hard to see it on this, but it's there, I promise. Go around right here. Get up here to the top. Need to go up a little higher, I believe. Keep this ridge clean. And right here's a game trail you can probably see. Right through here. Going right through there. That ain't a game trail. That's a wore out bear trail right there. That's something big traveling this trail. Right out through there. Big game trail. May be hard to find a fence stake after that wildfire that we had. You remember I told you about that wildfire? That burned up just about everything. Probably including all the fence stakes up here. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Here's the old fence. See it right here. And right there's an old fence stake laying right there. It looks like what it done is burn them off at the top of the ground. See that? Looks like it burned them off at the top of the ground. And these right here ain't split out. They're poles used around poles for them. He used round poles, but he didn't use steeples. He put in 16 or 20 penny nails to reach in through the sapwood all the way into the heart and bend them back over to hold the wire. So he got around that problem, didn't he? I've always loved this ridge up here. It's so pretty, and This winter time, you can see a lot farther because ain't no leaves on the trees. I was hoping we could find one of Paul's old fence stakes still standing, but I think that far just about took them out. You can see the fence right here. We're walking right beside of it. I don't know why, but Paul nailed his wire on the tree. I know why he done that, but it looks like, well, it's hard to tell how deep the wire is in the tree. Now that a lot of people use a pressure treated board and nail it to the tree with big nails and then nail the fence to the board with staples, then you got something there between the tree and the barbed wire, and as it grows, see, it'll let that board will just keep pushing out, and it won't, the wire won't grow into the tree and ruin it for maybe sawing later. Well, there's a big old white oak. Look at that monster. That's another of my favorite. White oak. We'll talk about that one day. Well, I'm looking for wires, fence stakes, but I'm not seeing none. I think that fire got them all. I guess the ones that burn off the top of the ground, I guess they was, well, this has failed since I was up here cleaning out the trail. Something new fell there. I'll have to cut it out of the path. That was a lime tree. That fire we had killed a lot of trees. Caused them to fall. It just made a mess up here. Still see the wire, but no stakes. And this right here, you can see the kind of damage the fire done. See this big chestnut oak right here? You can see what that fire done to it. Big, beautiful trees. Just ruined by that. Look at them down there. Both of them ruined. And they won't stand much longer. I mean, that inside's dead and starting to rot. Fence coming up through here. No, folks, I don't see any fence stakes. They're getting gone right up through here. My buddy owns this land over here that joins us. And we've talked a little bit about building a new fence up through here. He's the one that owns the Wiley barn. If you watched that video, if you ain't, you ought to go watch it. That's an amazing video. I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video. A lot of people does that little card link up in the corner, but to me, every time I see that on a video, I'm not going to click on it because I'm interested in the video I'm watching. But now if the link was in the description down below, after I got finished with the video I was watching, I'd go down there and click on it and watch it. But I'm not going to pull off the video I'm watching to go watch something else. That's just me. You know, if you want to do that, you can go down in the description and pull off anytime. But I had rather watch all of what I'm watching while I'm watching it and then move on to another video in time. And you can see that timber over there. See that big poplar tree there? How it's killed the bottom of it and it's rotted. This little old maple tree right here too. Look at there, just ruined. Just ruined. I don't know how many years it'll take to heal from this, because I don't know what percentage, but it was a high percentage of the timber that got damaged by that fire. And I don't know how long it'll take for the timber that's here now to get that big, to take the place of these big trees that got damaged. Well, look at that big red oak. Just a monster. Almost touch the sky. How bad the fire damaged it. It looks like that one survived pretty good, unless it's on this back side right here. Maybe a little damage, but not too bad. Well, it may be one healthy tree that it missed. It sure got this little maple right here, though. Ruined it. Well, this is a little extra long Fun Fact Friday, but from what I've been reading in them comments, ain't nobody gonna care. You're just pretty mouse. How pretty. Now Charlotte, she loves to find that pretty moss. She'll get down there with her little paw and she'll pet it like that, rub it and say, "Pops, that's so soft." That's what she'll say. Well, look who come dragging in. Where you been? Where you been, running coyotes? Be careful, you'll wind up a snack, boy. Butterfly down there basking in the sun. But yeah, I mean, you look at this barbed wire here, that stuff's been there every bit of 60 years. And it's broke and been tied back. And by golly, right now, you ain't gonna find no barbed wire. It's gonna be there in 60 years, I bet you. Maybe 6 years. That's back when we made some quality in this country. There's still a few little places around that makes quality. I hear a cow bawling somewhere. You don't hardly ever hear that. It must be over in the other holler. You dogs ready to go home? Right here I wanted to show you, and this is the other end of that bear trail that we crossed down there, man, to go game trail, but it's a bear trail. I mean, it's just wore out down through there. I don't know if you can tell, but it is just absolutely wore out down through there. Well, there goes a bear down the trail now. Look at there. There goes a bear down the trail now. Look, going there. Look at that bear dog. Look at that bear. Look at that bear dog. Look at that bear dog. Look at that bear dog. Show you this right here. Now, if you come across this in the woods, I'll tell you what that is. There's been a yellow jacket nest there in the ground, and a bear or a skunk or something's dug it out and eat them. When you see that in the woods, that's what's happened. Now, you know what this tree is, don't you? You know what that tree is, don't you? Because you watch Fun Fact Friday. Big old poplar. Monster. I wanted to show you right here, this is little old field locusts, or some people call them black locusts. They're just a little small locust. The bark is just real thin, not thick like the big yellow locust. And right here's what the leaves look like. And this brown on them I was telling you about, they started doing that several years ago. And I think that's part of what's killing them. But you can see they got the main little stems and then the little leaves coming off of them. So that's what they look like. And I also wanted to show you a little update right here on the poplar tree. This, what they call the tulip poplar. Well, this is why they call it a tulip. This thing will open up for long, be a yellow and orange blossom on here. And you can see these leaves. That's a good shot of the poplar leaves. I didn't do a good job last time showing you them poplar leaves, so I wanted to show you a good shot of what they look like. Four-pointed poplar. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's Fun Fact Friday. I know I sure did. A little walk in the woods is always good. Learned a little bit about a locust tree. I don't think I learned nothing, but maybe yuns did if you weren't familiar with the locust tree already. I hope yuns have had a great Friday. Hope yuns have a great weekend. Try to spend just a little bit of time this weekend watching Metcalf Mills videos. I'll put the link to the Wiley barn down in the description if you've not seen that yet. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you ain't already. Tell your friends about me. Hit that notifications bell. And I look forward to seeing you real soon.